Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Saturday, April 27th. I just want to do a huge shout out to all you folks out there. You know who I'm talking about. That have helped push me over that 2,000 subscriber mark. To a lot of people, they say, they've been on YouTube. That ain't squat. But for me, thank you. Thank you, thank you. So now I want to be shooting for 2,100. You know, just a year ago I started this. And, I've told people that if you're consistent, you can accomplish something. But if you're only way you can accomplish something is if you're consistent at something and being right when you're being consistent, right? Stay tuned. We're going to talk about that and more. Again, thank you so much for being part of the channel. So stay tuned. Alrighty, so welcome back. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. We do the weekday show Monday through Friday. We do daily uploads. And whether it's repairing machines or talking about how to run a business better, or on the weekends I kind of go off track and I can talk about just about anything, right? So today I want to talk about, I did a video a couple days back on the best way to become good at something is to be consistent. And that the key is you don't have to know how to do it when you start. You don't. If you already know how to do it and it's not getting the results that you want, are you sure you know how to do it? If you know what I mean. Girls, I can use this channel because I was pleasantly surprised to see that I had 2,001 this morning. And like I say, for a lot of YouTubers, they'd be the first one to tell me, that ain't nothing. You gotta have hundreds of thousands. One of you at a time. I would rather build the channel in a gradual with a solid foundation underneath it than to spike up. Everybody like me for a month and then everybody stop watching me. Because I was the latest thrill for the month or the day on YouTube. Entertainment value. But in the prior video, what I was trying to get across and what I'm trying to get across to you today is, I always say, enjoy the journey. That's the key. It's not getting from point A to point B, that everything has to rely on what it looks like when you get to point B. It's, did you have fun? Did you learn something? And did you enjoy the ride from point A to point B? And if you didn't, then you're missing my point. Because if you don't enjoy doing it, why do it? Why waste your time on it? Well, I want to become rich, I want to become famous, I want to become... If you become all those things, it's because you have the drive. You have to have the want and the desire. And I'll be honest with you right now, the only way to keep that want and desire alive over the long haul is if you enjoy what you're doing. Are there going to be bad days, bad weeks? Yes. Are you going to have reservations or thinking that maybe I shouldn't have come down this path? Absolutely. Are you going to get anxious, anxiety? Yes. I get anxious, anxiety when I start something new because it's an unknown. But it's a mixed anxiety, okay? It's not dread anxiety. It's excited anxiety, if you know what I mean. That it's something new. That, you're kind of, part of you is saying, you don't want to screw this up, so don't get in a hurry. And the other part of you is saying, jump right in. But you got to be somewhere in the middle. Not too anxious and not ready to dive into that pool of water that could be a foot deep. So, when I'm talking about being consistent, I'm talking about during that journey, you are going to have trials and tribulation. You're going to have setbacks. You are going to have accomplishments. But everything from point A to point B in that journey of trying to be consistent is finding something that works. If it's not working, change it. And in my case, I knew that I enjoyed watching a few of the YouTube videos. And I sat there one day and I said, you know what? I would like to do that. And I'll be honest with you, some of my friends and family are like, are you crazy? Yeah. So I would like to do that and talk about how to run a business right, because that's not being taught anymore. And how to teach people the right way. And by trying to teach people about keeping it real. Too many of the channels out there, that's what got me started in this direction, were feeding misinformation. They weren't who they... It's like being in a movie. If you're a movie star and you get paid big bucks, you could be the biggest a-hole on the set and everybody hates you, right? But if we, the public, only see you in the movies, we think, we idolize you. When in fact, you're the biggest a-hole and we wouldn't even have to take the time of day to spend with you. Same thing on YouTube. There's too much fluff. And yes, YouTube is entertainment. I totally agree with that. But why can't you just be who you are? Because that says a lot about you. If you can't be who you are, why? What is it about you that you don't think people will like you? And I'm going to tell you right now, not everybody's going to like you. I already know that. I feel bad if someone doesn't like me to a certain extent, because maybe if they come and talk to me, we'd have a different go around on it, right? But I can't try to please everybody all the time. I learned that way back. So with starting the channel, I knew I had to be consistent. I knew squat, I'll be honest with you, and I think a few of my videos, I come right out and told you that, because that's the truth. I didn't know squat. I had an IT, a bachelor's in IT, information technology, computer systems, programming, and all that. Made millions on the venues selling online parts, small engine parts, and farm machinery parts. Run a successful business since 2006. Had large undertakings that we came out stronger. An example was 2012 when our whole business burnt to the ground. And we had already started renovating a 40 by 120 space for a showroom and parts. And $20,000 in inventory, brand new, that had arrived that day, sitting in that building when she burnt to the ground. Complete loss. Nothing. Most people would have walked away and said, that's enough. I can't take it anymore. But if you're resilient and you're driven, you can tell yourself, I can do this again. Maybe not the way I had it, not the same, but I can redo this. I can rebuild this business. And it helped because I had great employees. I had very supportive employees. The last thing I wanted to do was to give them their pink slip, even though they were telling me, if you want to stop, this would be a good time to stop. So for the first month, I continued paying them, and we didn't do anything. And then I got the idea of camp. So it was a house I built. So I got that set up because I already had power, had phone. So I went ahead and said, we can do online parts, but we can't do repairs because we have no place to repair them. We could try to repair them out in the front door yard, but we don't have an outbuilding to repair stuff. And this was January when the fire took place. So at that point, I told Claude, I'm going to have you become part of the shipping and packing process. Because he felt, you got to let me go. There's nothing here for me to do. So I found him something to do. He did well at it. And he loved hanging with the girls. But that's what I mean by being resilient and being consistent. Is you have to have the drive, the want, the desire, and you also have to enjoy the journey. And as we've talked about, with time comes experience, comes wisdom. Right? If you have to put the time in, you'll gain the experience of what works and what doesn't work. And that's called wisdom. In my case, I knew what worked, why it worked, and it wasn't because of what building we were in. It was because of the people that were involved and the process of how we were doing it. And that brings us to the YouTube channel of being consistent and willing to learn new things. With the channel, I've been trying to accomplish two things, okay? And that is teaching you some new tricks as far as, personal development, how to better yourself, how to grow. And I always have felt that you need to be a well-rounded individual. As my grandfather used to tell me, you need to be well-rounded. And that means you have to have some knowledge and of everything that surrounds you, right? Doesn't mean you have to be great at it. It just means you don't do one to sacrifice the other. And some people will say, well, when you're growing a business, you're going to sacrifice your home life. Why? If getting married, having kids were that important to you, why are you so willing to sacrifice them over your business? If you go way back on some of my earlier videos, I talked about when I was younger that I thought, if I was a good provider to my family, that was what was important to me. Because I loved my family. I still do. And I wanted to have the best for them. But I was misguided. I was young. And when I say misguided and young, I didn't have the wisdom to distinguish, and nobody said anything either, by the way. They said, all this overtime you're working, the second job, the third job, is taken away from time with your family. Was I around the kids growing up? Yes. Did I spend time with my wife? Yes. But how much time did I spend with them compared to working at these other jobs? And that wouldn't be very much. If I were to do a do-over, I'd do one job and I would figure out a way financially, and that may be getting rid of some of this fluff stuff, and spend more time with the kids when they grow up and with the wife. But sometimes when you're young, you're dumb, right? And I didn't have anybody to tell me, being a good provider is a great feat. But so isn't spending time with your kids and letting them know that they are the most important thing in your life. See, that's two things that I did very well at. And I didn't have much to do with it, but, I have two great kids, and they turned out well. And a lot of it, Mom has to take credit for, because Mom was around and was doing things with them and going to the events while I was working. So I can't take away and take a lot of credit for how my kids turned out, other than I was a provider and provided them with, newer gadgets or learning stuff or being able to be involved in things where financially they couldn't if I only had one job, right? But with a YouTube channel, I didn't know squat. So part of the journey was learning. As I said on the onset of this video, you do not have to know how to do it. That's part of the journey. If you know how to do it, and you've already done it before and done it well, a lot of them will just duplicate what they've already done, and to gain that group of following, right? What you see and hear on the channel is what I truly believe in, and when you hear me talk about stuff, there's no 100 takes, a bunch of editing. It is what it is. And when it comes to doing it yourself, or a weekend warrior, or, running a repair shop, when I'm doing repair videos, if something happens where it takes longer or it doesn't want to come out as easy, I feel the need to share that with you. Even my missteps or my mistakes, I don't feel the need to edit it out to make myself less vulnerable. Because I've listened to some of the YouTubers out there, and they all talk about doing all these takes, okay? And then they send it off to an editor that was paid to edit their 10-minute video. They may have 50 hours in that video, but they want to edit it down to 10 to 12 because that's what YouTube says your average viewer can tolerate. That tells you another thing about attention span, right? But I don't follow any of them rules. My average video is around 20 minutes, and honestly, I could go longer. But I figure 20, 25 minutes, that takes up half an hour of your day you can't get back, right? You could have been doing something else. And I let you know, as part of my journey, that you are part of my journey. A very big part of my journey. I've had a chance to, have wonderful people become part of the channel and be willing to teach others as well. And, as I'm reading the comments, people are saying you did a good job, and that makes me feel good. But I also don't mind being critiqued. And I'm not that insecure that I can't take when somebody says you're totally wrong. See, when somebody tells me that, I just think, you know what, maybe they're right. But show me where I'm wrong and how I can do it better. And I'll listen. But sometimes what works for you won't work for me. I mean, we're all unique, but each one of us has to have our own way of approaching things, right? But if it comes to tearing apart, let's say, a lawnmower engine, there's certain steps involved in how you should do it. Or tearing apart a carburetor, where I tell you, if you're not familiar with tearing carburetors down, start putting your parts that you take off at the farthest point, working your way back to you on a nice clean white table. And when doing that, when it comes time to put it back together, all you have to do is, you don't sit there and look at a box of parts and say, oh gosh, now how'd that go back together? It's all laid out. Okay, goes next, and then this goes next, and next thing you know, you're at the end and you're putting it back on a weed trimmer, per se. Again, I would just like to say, thank you so much for helping me and being part of the channel to get us to grow up to over 2,000 subscribers now. You are part of that reason. So enjoy the achievement as well. So on that note, you guys have a great Saturday. I don't know yet what I'm going to be. We're going to an auction today, Cloud and I. It's a farm auction. It's a friend of mine. He's up in years and decided to retire. Probably going more to visit than we are to buy. But we're going to go see what's going on there. But on that note, you guys have a great Saturday, and I'll see you here bright and early tomorrow morning with something. I always talk about something, right? I am content. All right. You guys have a great day.